Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. This evening, I want you to imagine that it's 1951 and you are standing on top of a windswept hill with brown brush surrounding you for miles. You were standing there contemplating, what am I going to do? You are married. You have 3 children, all preschool age. You are farming. And it's difficult. What are you going to do? This evening, I would like to tell you a little bit about a person who faced just that. Lucille Miles started out life as a farm child. She was raised on a farm. She then left the farm and attended beauty school. She decided the city life was a little more for her, and she became a beautician. Things changed again, though, and after she was a beautician, she met the love of her life, who was, in fact, a farmer. So you give up all the trappings of city life, and you leave your nice cocoon that you have built for wind-swept isolation in the West. What do you do? Well, what Lucille Miles decided to do was that she not only learned how to become the best farm wife that there was, she was going to change her community. So in 1951, she'd been married for 4 years. She has 3 children, all preschool age. And she hears about there is government funding available to set up through the Department of Agriculture Extension to set up a community club. So Lucille was elected the very first president of the Eureka Club. So she, alongside the team of local women, Viola Colblazer, Florence Jackson, Marjorie Colblazer, Maple Triplett, set the foundation for rural wife success. They met every month. They met every week, rather. And as they had their meetings, they learned not only about each other, but they learned how to sew. They learned how to meal prep. They learned how to, they learned all of the ins and outs of society and became a support for each other. Because as you're standing on this windswept hill in 1951, realizing that the closest hospital that you can drive to is 50 miles away. So you have to learn to be more resilient, to be more self-sufficient. And yet, as you become more self-sufficient, you realize that community is just as important as being self-reliant. So as she led the Eureka Club, it began to develop into a larger organization. They pivoted toward community action. They even developed a local dog park. So this was a big deal for the community, and it was a very small farming community right outside of Holyoke. Holyoke itself was less than 1,000 people. And so to have an area where you can congregate and spur each other on was of immense value at the time. Not only did Lucille Miles, create community. She also led her family through the transition to irrigated farming. So when they first took over the farm, it was dry land farming. There was no irrigation. So you had to rely simply on the rain that fell. As time went on, in about 1963, they learned how to drill into the Ogallala Aquifer, and irrigation became possible. So instead of just relying on ranching, where you just hoped that there was enough brush to feed your livestock, and you hoped that there was enough rain to sustain the wheat for a full cycle, you are now able to take huge pipes and get the water to go where you want it to go instead of hoping it falls somewhere where you want it to. So through all this transition, technology shifts, and the pumps, access to pumps to that aquifer, their family farm continued for over 100 years. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, that is the only way that it ever has." Mr. Toastmaster.